Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like headlines that are in the news, current events, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If you guys are on BitChute, I would encourage you guys to give me a follow on there as well. I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to go by and check out BitChute if you want to create an account there as well. It is an alternative video site, very much like YouTube. If you guys are here for the first time, I'd like to welcome you here, or if you are a frequent visitor, I would encourage you guys now to click on that watermark down there in the bottom right-hand corner if you are on YouTube, and of course give me a follow if you're watching this from other platforms. This June, we had the pleasure of watching the U.S. women's soccer team in the FIFA 2019 World Cup, and I do enjoy watching both the women and the men play as I look forward to watching the World Cup, whether it is the women's FIFA or the men's FIFA World Cup. So either way, it was a really great turnout for the team as well as a victory for them in 2019. So they ended up winning the World Cup, but along the way, of course, it was without its center of controversy, because controversy is just what is going on nowadays. It is exactly what the media likes to cover. It is kind of a way to attract attention because we are kind of a clickbait, cancel culture, outrage mob type social media mindset now, unfortunately. Now, whether you are part of that social media environment, you would know that at least it goes on in the background. Now, most people don't know this. Everyday folks aren't going to be all that concerned. But nonetheless, of course, along the way, there was a bit of a protest from the women's team in regard to their pay. And we have learned some additional information here. I'm going to read from an article. 4 U.S. women players, Carly Lloyd, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, and Becky Sauerbrunn, all very good players, each earned a total of $1.1 million to $1.2 million for their national team play between March 30th, 2014 and September 30th, 2019, according to U.S. soccer filings. Now, not bad, considering that they also get endorsements. And as I understand it, a lot of teams, a lot of women teams in FIFA and or in women's soccer throughout the world do not get these sorts of endorsements and sponsorships. Now, it's interesting because I know when I watch some of the BBC coverage, they'll often joke about how a particular commercial is coming up, but it isn't sponsored by a player. So apparently, even the BBC or the UK players aren't receiving sponsorship and stuff, although many of their players do play here in the United States. As a matter of fact, many of the women players in world soccer do play at colleges here in the United States because it is a pretty big sport among females in college play. So, by comparison, the income of the single men's national team player who earned the most in the aggregate during the 2014-2019 period was $993,967, according to U.S. Soccer, so considerably less. Now, in fairness to my example, some of the men players also get endorsements, but clearly they were getting less. Now, you could, split hairs here and go into semantics about, the differences in pay not being all that incredibly large, but it is a difference. If you're getting a paycheck, obviously it's going to be different. The women's filings countered that each of the 4 women players named in the U.S. soccer filings would have earned at least $2.5 million more over nearly 6 years if they had achieved their team's same results under the U.S. men's team's compensation policy. So in other words, if they had worked as hard and had accomplished as much as the men, then they would have received as much money. Now, the women have been very successful. They are a very successful team in the United States, as they have won the World Cup and they have won the gold medal in the Olympics, whereas the men's teams have not necessarily often qualified to play either in the Olympics or even in the World Cup. But nonetheless, I wanted to bring that information to you guys as an update from earlier this year. This week, we saw that Ellen DeGeneres was in the news, not for her particular stand-up comedy that I have been enjoying for many, many, many years, all the way back to at least the early 90s, as I recall, but because she happened to be seated next to George W. Bush. Now, Ellen has explained that her friends are different, or that she has friends who have different beliefs and ideas than she does. And of course, we talk about those things here on the channel, how individuals can get along despite having different philosophies, ideologies, morals, ethics, and worldviews. And this was pretty innocuous considering that all she was really doing was sitting next to George W. Bush. But if you also see in the picture, there are also high-profile individuals there as well. And basically what happens is these celebrities are invited either by the team or by the owner or other individuals who are part of the NFL. And so this isn't anything unusual. It would just suddenly became a media storm type event simply because, you know, they can inject whatever particular narratives they want to make whatever stories they want to. So now Ellen had to come out. So the question could also be that this also gave Ellen a platform to be able to come out and actually speak, and maybe, you know, it's a little bit of branding. I mean, you could say that even, you know, bad news is still good news, or regardless of how bad something is, as long as you're getting the exposure, you know, you're getting the attention, and perhaps, you know, your fans and others will come to your defense. So of course you could see maybe a little bit of branding going on here, a little bit of, you know, just maybe a good news story for a Sunday perhaps. But nonetheless, I thought it was kind of amusing because I've always enjoyed Ellen. She's never used her lifestyle as a way to promote herself or promote her brand or her show or anything that she's done. And I think this was kind of a very curious attack on her. It was kind of a soft attack, of course, because people who would go after her from a particular political ideology did not want to be perceived as, you know, going against their own philosophical thought when it comes to these particular lifestyles. But nonetheless, guys, I wanted to share that aspect of it to you because I thought it was kind of amusing. And I have always been a good fan of Ellen DeGeneres. And I will leave a link for you guys down in the published section to check it out. And that's going to wrap it up for the Friday vlog. Kind of a lighter note, a little bit of a lighter tone of content this week, guys, to kind of get you through the week. I hope you guys have had a very good week. I have as well. It's been kind of challenging in some regards, a lot of activity going on. But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank all of you for your continued support of the channel. I would encourage you now to click on that like button down there in the bottom right-hand corner to show your support for the content. And of course, we have the obligatory channel icon appearing right there on the screen. That is if you are on YouTube. So go ahead and click on that, as well as the notifications if you would like to know when additional content is here on the channel. And there will be additional content coming up very soon, as Call of Duty will be out very shortly. But nonetheless, guys, I will see you next week.